first object which saluted my eyes when I arrived on the coast was the sea, and a slave ship, which was then riding at anchor and waiting for its cargo. These moved me with astonishment, which was soon converted into terror. When I was carried on board, I was immediately handled and tossed up to see if I were sound by some of the crew, and I was now persuaded that I had got into a world of bad spirits, and that they were going to kill me. When I looked around the ship too and saw a large furnace where copper boiling, and a multitude of black people of every description chained together, every one of their countenances expressing dejection and sorrow, and no longer doubted of my fate, and quite overpowered with horror and anguish, I fell motionless on the deck and fainted. When I recovered a little, I found some black people around me, who I believe were some of those who had brought me on board and had been receiving their pay. They talked to me in order to cheer me, but all in vain. I asked them if we were not to be eaten by those white men with horrible looks, red faces, and long hair. They told me I was not, and one of the crew brought me a small portion of spirituous liquor in a wine glass. But being afraid of him, I would not take it out of his hand. One of the blacks therefore took it from him and gave it to me, which instead of reviving me as they thought it would, threw me into the greatest consternation of the strange feeling it produced. Soon after this, the blacks who brought me on board went off and left me as a fell into despair. I now saw myself deprived of all chance of returning to my native country, or even at least glimpse of hope of gaining the shore. I was not long suffered to indulge my grief. I was soon put under the decks, and there I received such a salutation in my nostrils as I had never experienced in my life. So that with the loathsomeness of the stench, and crying together, I became so sick and low that I was not able to eat, nor had I the least desire to taste anything. I now wished for the last friend, death, to relieve me, but soon to my grief, two of the white men offered me edibles, and on my refusing to eat, one of them held me fast by the hands, laid me across, tied my feet, while the other flogged me severely. I would have jumped over the side, but I could not. And besides, the crew used to watch us very closely who were not chained down to the decks, lest we should leap into the water. And I have seen some of these poor African prisoners most severely cut for attempting to do so, and roundly whipped for not eating. This indeed was often the case with myself. They gave me to understand we were to be carried to these white people countries to work for them. I then was a little revived, and thought, if it were no worse than working, my situation was not so desperate. But still, I feared I should be put to death. The white people looked and acted in so savage a manner, for I had never seen among any people such instances of brutal cruelty. And this not only showed towards us blacks, but also to some of the whites themselves. One white man was flogged so unmercifully with the large rope near the foremast that he died in consequence of it. And they tossed him over the side as they would have done a brute. At last, we were all put under the deck, for the heat of the climate almost suffocated us, which I began to hope would soon put an end to my miseries. Often did I think many of the inhabitants of the deep much more happy than myself, and envied them the freedom they enjoyed, and as often wished I could change my condition for theirs.